dropped my water bottle. Anyway, it's getting late in the day. I'm going to go ahead and try to put the wraps on today's video. As you see, Dad was back at work with me today, and a lot of times, pretty much about all the time, I like to have Dad mark logs. I do. I watch him like I watch him like a hawk. Like even in today's video, yeah, I could have been bucking right behind him, but I always like to walk with him when he's marking logs. I like to study what he does. I like to see what he does and see his reasoning behind how he marks them. I mean, don't get me wrong, I mark logs every now and then. Dad, honestly, Dad generally marks our logs, especially our walnut. But Dad generally marks up because we have everything bucked up and ready to go. We don't wait for a buyer. We have everything bucked up and ready to go. It's just a lot easier that way. I prefer to do it that way. Seems like most of my buyers prefer it's done that way, so regardless. But yeah, Dad, tomorrow we're gonna sell that walnut and the veneer. Well, tomorrow Dad's going back at Dad's found a good patch of walnut out here in Kansas somewhere. It's not too far from where we cut some logs before, and he said he's going back out there tomorrow to try to buy this timber. So hopefully Dad can get some walnut bought tomorrow. Now, like I said, I have to sell some timber tomorrow. So those logs we moved around today, shuffled. Then I'm going to cut a few more oak just to put the cap on the oak and everything there, because I'd like to have 5,000 to 6,000 feet of that saw oak, that saw timber, just the red oak and the second and thirds on the bur oak. I'd like to have 5,000 to 6,000 feet of that, which I don't think will be any big problem. I'd like to have more, but that's what I'm shooting for anyway. So I'm pretty sure I can do that, maybe a little more after tomorrow. But then I've also got another job of walnut to look at right up there close tomorrow as well. So I've got a full day tomorrow. Right now we had to hurry back because I'm going to look at something to purchase. I'm headed down to Springfield right now. I know a lot of driving, so I've got to go look at something to purchase. I'm always real quiet about my purchases until I get them purchased, but then I've got to go by the office and talk some things with Shanae on Logger Threads and Timber Tracker. She's working really hard. Guys, we appreciate all the orders, appreciate all the good feedback. We've had some really good 5-star reviews. Chuck, thank you so much for your 5-star review, sir. It means a lot. Joshua, thank you for your 5-star review. We sent an order out last night. I think it's our first order to Kansas. Yeah, so I like keeping track of all that stuff. But anyway, guys, enjoy today's video. A lot of it's actually Dad marking timber, because we've had a lot of people ask about what it's like when we mark timber. So you're going to see Dad marking up logs, so enjoy that. Follow us on all of our social outlets. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Like, comment. I try to get back to all the comments as fast as I can. Sometimes I'm not always good about it, but I try to the best I can, but sometimes it gets overwhelming and everything we got going on. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on all of our social outlets. Turner Logging LLC at Instagram and Facebook. Logger Threads at Instagram and Facebook, and loggerthreads.com. timbertracker.net, and you can find links to the app right there on timbertracker.net to download that free app. Guys, thanks a lot. I've got to go down here and look at things, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Getting a count of the walnut here where Dad's up here. He's marking logs, and I'm going in and I'm barking them while we mark them. That way we can kind of knock a lot of the mud off of them. They're tall trees. Tall trees, if you don't bark them cutting that mud, you'll just be dull all the time. So it saves us a lot of time. I got the cat warming up. We've had to use it to move some logs around already. So there's a lot that goes into these marking logs. It's not just you run through there, and I always get a kick out of it. People will call me wanting to haul me logs, and like, yeah, they're all 8-foot logs. Well, man, if you got walnut, all 8-foot logs, that's not always the best practice there. That's not always the answer. 8s aren't. This log here, we're leaving it long. It'll be a 16-foot log, the first log in it. I mean, there's 8s, 9s, 10s, 12s, multiples of 16 and longer depending on the cut. There's a lot that goes into it. You can see Dad, he just studies the log there.
It's not always about an 8-foot log, and then a lot of times, you know, you've always got to leave some trim. Most of our logs are 8-4, 9-4, 10-4, 12-4. You always got to leave a few extra inches. You never cut it exactly on the money. You don't ever do that, especially on these good logs. A lot of times we got to clip the ends of them. There's that old thing there's been dragged through the mud, so it looks extra dark. I know we always have a lot of people ask what it's like when we get our logs prepped, and this is part of it. This is a lot of work right here. It really is. I would rather cut and drag as I would mark and buck any day. Bucking logs is, I think, one of the worst parts of the job. It's definitely one of the hardest parts. I think the most work's involved, because it seems like you're always cutting into the ground. You're always dulling your chain. You're hitting things. It's time consuming. It's got to be done, you know. It has to be done. Of course, then we go the extra mile and we take the cat there and we lay them all out to where they can be inspected real good. And our buyers greatly appreciate that, and it reflects on our log prices as well. And just like this ground here, to where it's wet, as soon as we do a sell, I'll pack all these logs out there to the road. That way they can sit in the road and load them. And all that stuff trickles back down, guys. That all affects how our buyers take care of us. It affects the prices of our logs, because we can go the extra mile for them, so they go the extra mile for us. They know when they buy a set of logs from us, no matter what the weather does, we can make arrangements to where we can get them out and keep things rolling. It's kind of spitting snow and rain mixture right now. It's not real cold. I think about 29 degrees. It doesn't feel too bad out, but they're calling for more wintry weather tonight than, I think, Wednesday. Rain and a high of 53, so good old springtime in Missouri. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into marking these logs. It's not just you run through there and make 8s and 10s. The oak's not near as bad, but the walnut, to really achieve, there's kind of a fine line there, because you want to make sure your logs average high, but then at the same time you want to make sure you're getting the most footage out of your logs. So there's kind of a fine curve there that you got to kind of stay within to make sure your logs average high and you're getting maximum footage. I mean, at the end result, it's always about the money. You know, the footage is great, but it's always, that end number is always the important number, your money, when you're selling your logs. I mean, yeah, we could cut all these logs into 8-foot lengths and have tremendous amount of footage, but what's the point in having a lot of footage if the money's not right? That's what we do it for. We try to achieve maximum dollar for our clients. Dad's been doing it a long time. He knows about as well as anybody. He's been logging for 54 years. He was a log buyer for 15 years. He was a log buyer for a company out of Parsons, Kansas, Wilson Brothers Lumber. At the same time he was a log buyer, he was also logging, so that was back in the 70s, late 60s, 70s, even up into the early part of the 80s. Before I was around. Well, I better get to barking some logs. I'm getting behind. Working away. He's pretty much indestructible, I think. He's bucking the oak. I bucked the majority of the walnut, and I wanted to get started sorting them out.
good thing about working up here by Kansas City is I get to listen to 98.9 The Rock when I'm sorting logs in the skid steer. Now, people ask all the time how this cat handles big logs. This is a pretty good sized burrow. I can just toss it around like it's nothing. Like those big logs there. If my forks were long enough, I could pick up 2 of those 8-footers. I moved 2 of these big burr oak at once a minute ago. It was a little light in the back end, but it'll pick them up and move them just fine as long as you keep the back of the machine on the ground. We're just pulling the veneer out. It's a pretty good pile of logs. Pretty good pile of logs. I'm not going to worry about sorting the oak out today. I kind of split a lot of them apart to let them air dry. Pretty good pile of walnut there, and the veneer, the oak veneer on the end's real good. So we got quite a bit of footage and red oak and stuff up here. Of course, the tops of the burr oak. When I pass through here, make sure I got all the veneer out, which I'm pretty sure I did. Indeed, I did. Indeed, I did. Good pile of